one upgrade that could do the most for your car is oftentimes the one completely overlooked. I'm talking about the chassis. And for the last 40 plus years, if you wanted a chassis upgrade for your hot rod, there's only one name you need to know: Art Morrison. Inside this unassuming building, the chassis engineers at Art Morrison are hard at work reverse engineering old cars to make them stop better, go better, and most importantly, turn better. Inside, you'll find modern tools and skilled craftsmen with one goal in mind: make your car do everything better. Welcome to Fife, Washington. Today on Tuned, we are going to talk about chassis. And if we're going to talk about chassis, we may as well talk to the two people who are synonymous with chassis and hot rodding. That's right, it's Art and Craig Morrison. Boys, always good to see you.
How you doing?
Great. I am doing great. I've enjoyed driving your cars so much. We've gotten to drive them on the Smoking Tire, the 55 Chevy, and of course the amazing 60 Corvette. And we wanted to come see how you guys actually did it. So you want to show me around a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's start off with the tubing bender. This is actually the heart of what builds our frames. This is a reasonably late model bender. We've had it for about 4 years now. But it's capable of bending the 2x4 rectangular tubing, but only in a 3/16 wall, and a real heavy wall. Frames we use for like the say a mid-50s Cadillac or the Oldsmobile or a pickup or one of those type of frames.
Something
that we
heavy.
build. Something heavy, something that we need a lot of strength. Let me show you how it works.
You gonna bend something for me?
I'm gonna go ahead and bend something.
So basically the point of this is to bend the pipe without crimping it, right?
Yes.
And what you can't see is on the inside of the tube, there's a piece called a mandrel, and that supports it from the inside, and that's what keeps it from wrinkling.
Oh, okay. Bending. And I assume the structural integrity stays completely
It stays
intact?
exactly the same.
Why do I feel like steel's gonna fly in my face right now?
Well, hopefully it won't.
Just in case.
Just in case.
This is my eye protection.
Okay.
Homeless gloves.
So there the bend is made. Now we release the pressure. We have to take one of these shims, knock one of these shims out.
In a shop like this, you can never have too many big hammers,
No.
am I right?
And this is the bend right here.
Oh, it's hot.
Yeah, because
Oh,
of
it's
the
toasty.
it's from the pressure of the fact of the metal being pulled around the corner is what does that.
And now we have ruined a piece of metal that you could use for a chassis.
Exactly. Very expensive tubing that we've just trashed just for you guys. 55 Chev, an early Corvette, they're made to be cut. They just beg for a suspension and a chassis that allows them to drive as good as they look. I started this whole thing as a kid when I was 16, 17 years old, and so I've seen just a gazillion different cars, and there are things I like about all of them. There's some things I don't like about all of them. My personal cars, as you know, you've driven both of my personal hot rods, the 60 Corvette, the 55 Chev, and those are actually two of my favorites. The 60 Corvette I love. It's a great car. Classic lines that could be actually carried right over to a European line, and that particular car I love the look, love the drive.
Back then, suspension design was extremely rudimentary, and it did a decent job of getting a car from point A to point B, but today's day and age, with the way cars are now, there's a lot of expectations that people have when they build an older vehicle as far as the way it should corner, should handle, should accelerate, brake, everything else. And so we need to take sort of the customer's modern day expectations and create a chassis that will fulfill that with an older vehicle.
Okay, Matt, this is the tool that we build our early Corvette frame on, the C1, the 53 to 62. This is the identical frame that I have underneath my 60 Corvette. And the way these things work, the fixtures, is you notice there's a place, an attaching point for virtually every part on the frame, from the rear body mount to the coilover mounts, sway bar mounts, upper control arm, for the rear. and so on. Virtually everything that attaches to this chassis bolts to the fixture as a unit.
So the table itself is the mold.
The table itself is the mold, exactly.
So you build a chassis, make a table on the chassis, and then repeat indefinitely.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
This is the Rolls-Royce frame that we're actually reproducing from that old rusty one next door. What we did is we used the ferro arm, we reverse engineered the thing, and have actually duplicated all of the body mounts. This is piece
that
here
looks
is actually-
original.
This is original. This is actually a jacking point on the original Rolls. So we were able to take that off the original frame and put it back on here. So we've located it from everything from engine mounts, core support, bumper mounts, and so on, and duplicated the frame, only it's all in a brand new state.
And it
it'll be-
also looks much simpler. The
It
old
is-
frame
it
is
is.
very complicated with a lot of bolts all over the place.
And I
stuff.
believe that was an issue with Rolls, that they appear to be built just that way, just with too many nuts and bolts. And this one is actually going to go into limousine service in the city of New York.
Very cool.
And for, I don't know, proms and whatever. So
One thing to notice is they got the holes for the exhaust through the frame, which is pretty neat. It's a very cool looking effect, and I'm sure functional.
very functional. We just all we've got to do is that's one of the things left to do on this chassis is we've got to put the ones back here yet.
We have a strong following in Australia and New Zealand. We have one of our Tri-5 chassis went to Jakarta, Indonesia. We have a lot of frames and suspensions that go up to the Scandinavian countries. Sweden, Finland, and Norway are really popular for building American cars. A few customers in France just recently have ordered things. And then we get the occasional customer down in South America, South Africa, and so I mean it really is a worldwide following, and it's always fun to work with somebody on sort of the far reaches of the world, working on an American car and doing something really cool.
Working with Craig has been the best thing that has probably ever happened. Having a father-son relationship, they don't always work. In this particular case, it's worked out wonderful. He has the office right beside mine. We go to lunch every day. It's just, we have been together tight for forever. So it's been a good relationship.
I see many shelves with many kinds of parts.
Exactly, and like this stuff here are wheel spacers that we make, and they're all CNC machined, and this is all stuff that we use for the different chassis and subframes and suspension components.
But you guys have a mail order business too, right?
Exactly.
Like, can't I go on your website and buy this spring if I want?
Exactly. We do all of the chassis that we do. We break it down into the individual components, like shock springs, cross members.
Oh, we got Willwood
spindles.
brakes. I love Willwood brakes.
Willwood brakes, and there's just all of the different pieces and parts can be bought individually for guys that are sort of doing their own thing. Sway bars. Exactly.
I need a new one of these on my car. I broke an end link.
Oh, really?
Sway bar.
And see that the sway bars, we have a lot of different ones based on the different chassis that we do, but they're all made specifically for our individual chassis that we make. Some of the other pieces, more lower control arms for like a drag race type strut. Strange Engineering, we do a lot of their coil-over shocks, really great shock. And then control arms, chrome, bear, and then we get to the
chrome looks pretty nice actually. I like the bear, but the chrome looks good.
Yeah, we have a really great chrome supplier.
Bear and chrome.
Yeah. And,
I like the bear actually. It's in my style. Noahiro Tanaka, you will be getting your parts on time in 2 Shinmei Ubukuji Kita Nagoya Shi Aichi Ken 4810035. I'd like to have one of these crates show up at my house with an awesome chassis and a suspension ready to go. Just plop a body on it.
Exactly.
And it literally is that way. Prior to the shipping, there will be a block. There will be a block set in place right in here, and it'll actually, the housing will be banded to the frame, so it's actually set at ride height. Same with the front end. There will be a dummy strut set in place at ride height, so a guy can literally mock his car up before he takes any of these pieces of parts loose.
That's awesome. Well, as this chassis gets finished, so does this video. Sorry the weather prevented us from driving awesome cars today, but we got to break stuff, and I got to come hang out with 2 of the coolest guys in hot rodding, Craig and Art Morrison. Thanks for having me, man.
Matt,
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It's been a great pleasure.
And we are going to head back to LA for the next episode of Tuned. Follow me on the Smoking Tire. Follow this at Drive TV. And check out Art Morrison at
artmorrison.com.
artmorrison.com if you want an awesome suspension for your hot rod. I'm Matt Farah, and these cars have been properly tuned.